Hello and welcome back to Down the Slope. We've reached 200 episodes, guys. Quite an achievement. But I think maybe our biggest achievement today is we have got Hibs legend joining us. He was part of the team that got promoted back at the start of the century and Millennium, and he is the man who scored a Derby Day hat trick. We are joined by Mixu Paatelainen. Mixu, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, and thanks for the very nice and kind introduction. No, all good. Just working away for UEFA, matches, analyze them, and involved with the coach education, different countries, and doing presentations, different conferences and stuff like that. So not too much coaching, but still involved with football and thinking about football. That's the main thing. When you're not coaching, I think it's important to think about football. But all good. After Christmas and New Year, which I spent in Finland, my parents and relatives feeling a bit tired, but we'll get over it.
Yeah, it's one of those things. As soon as you go home, you feel like you need another holiday after you've actually
No,
finished. You do that much.
exactly. That's exactly what I say. But saying that, we did dip into the lake when frozen lake. We have a hole in the lake in the ice, and after sauna we dip in there. So that freshens you up, and it makes you a little bit fresher than if you didn't do that.
You definitely had a more adventurous New Year period than I did anyway. That sounds magic. But speaking of your experience in football, obviously, I believe you played for 10 clubs throughout your career, and then obviously you're still working in football to this day. But when you came to Hibs, there would just seem to be an affinity for you at the club. Like my dad, like still raves about Mixu Paatelainen to this day. There's so many Hibs fans that just absolutely adore you. Was that reciprocated from you? Do you feel that same love for the club? And also, why do you think that you instantly kind of connected with the fans?
Well, very kind of you saying that. I do actually. I've said all along that Hibs is my club, and I played there a couple of occasions as the manager. I feel so close to the club. I know the club. I know the supporters. I know the demands. I know how it all goes. And when I joined the club from Wolves, Alec McLeish brought me in. The first match was against St Mirren away, Love Street. We got beat, and I thought, oh no. I had no hesitation joining the club, although we were in the first division at the time, because I knew that Hibs was a big club, and and we would get up, no question, because of the players and because of Alec as well as a manager and stuff like that. But then as the season progressed after me joining, I started feeling more home and, closer to the supporters and feeling the warmth, of the supporters. And, I wanted to do everything for the club and for the supporters and win the matches. Uh, all means, we had a fantastic team, Russell Latterbees and, Yogis and you name it, fantastic team for the first division. And then we didn't leave it there. Went to the Premier League and all that. So no, I loved it, and I loved playing my windmill style, if you like. Putting opponent defenders under pressure and knock them about and doing my linking up with Russell and co and be in the right place in the box and in the right time and stuff like that. I loved it, absolutely loved it. So the feeling is mutual. Absolutely, and I don't think he ever dies. It's there. It's in our heart, and it's wonderful.
Yeah. And we'll definitely come to touch on about a few of your teammates a bit later on in the pod. But one of your teammates I had the pleasure of meeting back. I met him in Luzerne when Hibs were playing there in Europe. Matty Jack.
Oh,
And when I was speaking to Matty Jack, he was telling us some stories that I might not share on the pod. But I was like, "Oh, what about Mixu?" And he had a big smile on his face, and he said, "Mixu, big character." Uh, what did you make of Matty Jack? Did you enjoy being his teammate?
listen. Everything is okay for the cameras. I'm an innocent guy from Scandinavia. No problem at all. And no, Matt was what we hung around together, a lot, off the pitch as well. We played snooker and went for a beer when the time was right and all that. So no, what a great guy, fantastic guy. I heard that he's going into coaching as well, and he's been involved with the youth teams and coaching overall. So that's great. I haven't been in touch with him for ages, but would be nice to catch up with Matt. And what a great character, what a fantastic guy. But we had that day, those days, we had dressing room full of characters. We had Yogis, we had Dirk Leemans, we had Matt, we had Mick Colgans, Stuart Lovells. We had, honestly, it wasn't quiet dressing room, I'll give you that. It was brilliant. And the wind-up, it was never ending. It was all the time. We Russell doing his little antics, and you never know whether he turned up in training or not, and stuff like that. But no, it was great. The whole dressing room was full of characters. So Matt and I, we were not the only ones.
Hey. And then one last one from me just now, and it definitely won't be the last time it's mentioned today, because we've got some listener questions and there's quite a few asking about it. But the somersault, the famous somersault, just what even went through your mind, and how satisfied were you when you landed and didn't break your neck?
First of all, I want to apologise to groundsmen, because those 2 holes still exist in Easter Road turf. I'm sorry about that, but it was worth it. It was worth it. Scoring against Jumbos, being 1-0 down, and then 2 goals, very close to each other, and being 2-1 up half time. It was a great feeling, and then the second half was tremendous. So it just totally ran riot. So no, it was great. But that somersault, or the forward flip, should I say, was something that just I didn't do it all the time. I had done it before, play a final in England when I scored. Wembley, I did it, and some matches for Finland, but not too often at all. And then it just happened. You score a goal. Never mind, you score a goal in Edinburgh Derby. You're in ecstasy. You cloud 7. It's unbelievable feeling, and you do some stupid things.
I couldn't even imagine what I would do if I'd scored in a derby.
It's funny, because as a young person, we've probably all lived that moment in our lives where we would imagine what we would do celebrating scoring a hat trick in the derby. But I think at the time it must just be that whatever's in your head, emotion just kind of takes over. It probably feels like in some ways a bit of an outer body experience for a footballer.
100%. It's you don't think, or then something flashes into your mind, and you, boom, you do it. For example, the Frank Sauces and my dance, little jiggle after the, was it my third goal, or which goal was it? And it was just instinct. It just happened. And I saw Frankie coming towards me, and I smiled at him, and we had done it in showers many times before, after training and all that, and it just happened. It was just boom. Don't read us wrong, I hope. Don't read us wrong. No, we had fun, and it was a wonderful memory, a wonderful feeling at the time.
Brilliant, Mixu. You touched on earlier about you signed for the club when we were down in the Championship. Did Alex McLeish have to have quite a hard sell with you to convince you to join Hibs, given that we were in the Championship at the time?
No. I was quite unhappy at Wolves. I played. I didn't play. I started. I didn't start. I didn't find the rhythm at Wolves. It was difficult. So I spoke with my agent and said that we should look elsewhere. And then he phoned me and said that Hibs are interested. Alex McLeish been in touch, and I said, oh, fantastic. Obviously, I had not played for Hibs prior to that, but I had played against. And I knew it was a wonderful club, great supported, wonderfully supported club, and it was up. It was first division, but so what? It happens. And I knew, and the way Alex McLeish spoke, he said that he's going to build a team. He's going to take his time. He's got good connections, and we're gonna have a good team together. And he put a fantastic team together. it was tremendous, and we certainly had a upper hand in the Edinburgh derbies and did well in the Premier League and got to the Scottish Cup final and stuff like that. So it was great.
What was your view of the squad then at that time? Obviously, we were down in the Championship, but we still had some probably what you would consider sort of Premiership level quality players. What was your view of the squad when you joined? Did you think, oh, this will be easy, we'll get promoted, no problem, or did you think, oh, we've got a bit of a challenge on our hands here?
Yeah, I knew only a couple of players, not too many, and I knew the nucleus was there, but I did trust Alec 100%. Obviously, we played together at Aberdeen, and I knew him previously from there. So I knew he had a fantastic football brain, and he was a thorough guy, and I trusted him 100%. And also, there was nothing against coming back to Scotland. I loved my time in Scotland before. I had been 5 years in England with Bolton and Wolves, and I had no hesitation to come back to Scotland and Hibs.
How much do you remember of that season? Like, so that season we went from some sort of late November onwards, we went in a run where we won 13 games in a row, which pretty much sewed up the First Division title as it was at that time. See, when you were getting like near towards the end of that run, was there maybe talk within the squad that we could go the rest of the season unbeaten? Did we think we were that good and were that dominant in that league at that time?
Absolutely. That's always the thought. That's always the thought process when you come to the matches and when you have a good run. Let's keep it going. Let's not end it here. And we knew we were capable. Every match we approached, we were confident. Because squad we had, because the past results, because we knew exactly our roles, what to do on the pitch. It was great. It was pleasure. It was fantastic. Fantastically supported, wherever we went, away support. I remember, I think it was my first goal against Adri away. And it was amazing, unbelievable support. And Hibs is a big club. There's no question. And going to First Division, as it turned out, you win more, and supporters love it so much, because their team wins virtually every week, as we did. I can't remember the winning run was ridiculous. It was something like 23, 29, something like that games, and it was we were so confident, but yet at the same time we were humble. We prepared well. We knew that that we can get beat if we don't take it seriously and approach it in the right manner. So all in one.
It's become like one of those sort of Scottish football cliches over the last number of years about the Championship. Obviously, it was the First Division then, but the Championship being a really hard league to get out of. Everyone talks about the Championship being a really hard league to get out of, but this squad found it, I suppose, comparatively easy when you compare it with maybe even recent Hibs teams of the past, but also recent other big clubs. I mean, another one of your ex-clubs, Dundee United, spent quite a long time recently down in the Championship. With that in mind, then, see when we got promoted after the league title was wrapped up, and you're planning now for what would be the 99-2000 season. Were you thinking at that time, all Alex McLeish needs to do here is just add a few more pieces and we'll be really competitive in this league, or did you think we needed more strength?
The team was built when we were in the Championship or First Division then, and that's when a lot of experienced players who dominated their area of the pitch, they came to the club. Majority of them came already before we got the promotion, and that's probably why we had such a fantastic run in then First Division Championship. When we got to the Premier League, Ulrich Laursen joined us in the summer. I think Matty Jack joined us that summer. He came, and we strengthened. We felt that brilliant, the areas, we felt that we'll hold our own. and we do well in the Premier League. We don't just come here and our target is to survive and avoid relegation. Our target is to get promoted and then go for things, as we did. So it wasn't that. Even Edinburgh derbies. I remember approaching Edinburgh derbies. It was we were full of confidence. We were like, "Come on, let's get into them and let's 3 points." And every time we went into those matches, not knowing but strong belief that we're going to win.
And that season, I guess, you'd probably summarise that first season back up as being like a fairly sort of mixed one from a Hibs fans' perspective. There were sort of some good runs in that season, but there were some games where we struggled. I think probably two games that most Hibs fans really remember quite vividly for that season. There was a 3-0 win away at Tynecastle just before Christmas, which is still kind of talked about in replays. What are your memories of that day?
The Millennium Derby, as it's called.
Aye.
It was tremendous. I remember the press, the hype, going to that one because it was the Millennium and all that, and it was special. It was special, and going away, play Tynecastle, which is a nice stadium to win. I give you that. So we went there, and I don't think we totally dominated the match, but we scored the goals. And what a sweet victory it was. It was great. Fantastic goals we scored, from coming from midfield and from deeper as well. And it was a great victory, and sweet to get the derby win away from home. So it was great.
Have you been on the pitch for many sweeter strikes than that Sozzy strike in that game?
Oh no, I haven't. It was but he was able to do that. It was unbelievable. He had done it with Marseille and Atalanta before, and training. Obviously, we saw what he's capable of. Although he was saving himself quite a lot in training. Frankie was a great guy. But no, we knew exactly what he was capable of, and what a show he had, and that was as sweet as that.
And then I guess another highlight that season, and another derby win, because you alluded to earlier on a sort of brief period of dominance, I suppose, in that fixture. Beat them 3-1 at home later on in the season. Can you remember much from that game?
I do. Again, I thought it was quite a even battle. But we ended up winning comfortably in the end. Frankie lost his teeth, in that match. They're still missing. He's still looking them. But no, I remember that. But that's the second time I'm saying that. It was quite an even battle. It was like end-to-end stuff, and like sometimes derbies are very scrappy. Nothing really happening, and blah blah blah, and there's a goal. I think that's the mentality. That's the strength of mentality that the team, the players, individuals, they must have in order to win these special occasions and any football match. But especially those matches, because they are often so scrappy, and who takes the chances, is a winner. And we had that strength of mentality in our squad, which was great.
The following summer, the club goes out and signs Gary Smith, John O'Neill, Didier Dugout, obviously wasn't there for a long time, David Zitelli, Frederic Arpignon, who didn't play as many games for Hibs as many people would like, but I think his qualities were there to see. And Ulrich Laursen and Paul Fennick as well joined that summer.
Yes.
Did you immediately, when you returned to training, think, all right, we've got a team here, we've got something that's coming together because we've signed some serious players?
Yeah, exactly that. And you see, some players come and train a couple of days with the team before they sign and all that, and you see what they're like, and you see their first touch, and you see they understand, and they see how you can link up with them, and that you realize straight away, oh, he's a player, brilliant. And these players you mentioned, they started coming to the team, and we were like, oh, brilliant. And it was also for competition for places. It wasn't just 11 players, but we had more than 11 players who were capable of starting the match. Competition for places was very, very strong. You really had to prove every week in training that you're the man for that position and that sort of stuff. So because of these quality players, I'm very thankful for Hibs board and owner and chairman at the time to manage it, to be able to bring in such a fantastic, experienced players who really had the X factor. All of them. So that made the team and that made the success. So fantastic investment there from the club.
There's a wee bit of a theme developing here, Mixu, because my next question is probably going to be another certain fixture, and it's probably a fixture that you are most synonymous with. It's obviously a game that Hibs fans treasure for a lot of reasons, but in particular your performance that day is something which is still kind of talked about. Not just your performance, but the performance of others too. But I just wanted to very briefly touch on something which I think is overlooked and kind of gets forgotten about the history of the fixture. The weekend before that, we beat Rangers 1-0, the Easter Road.
Yep.
I think David Zitelli scored, if I'm not wrong. If I'm wrong, someone will definitely correct me and tell me I'm wrong. Did that give the players going into that fixture a wee bit of a sense of confidence, maybe that because we just put Rangers away at home, that we could go into that derby and do what we'd done the season before?
Funny you say that. When you get a big victory, like beat Rangers previous week before derby, you think that, oh no, sometimes when you have a good result and you go to the derby, then derby is bad. It doesn't happen. So we were all the time, don't nullify the Rangers result. Don't nullify that result. Make sure we win again, and we go for things after that. And we did, although we didn't start the game too well, but after that, the whole team performance was tremendous. And you said about my performance. My performance wasn't that special. I did my link up play. I did linking up and blah blah blah, and being a target man and being a windmill up there, and blah blah blah. But on it, I scored 3 goals. But remember the first 2 goals. Remember the first 2 goals.
I do. I do.
I was just a sniffer dog in the box. The boys.
Mixu, you're being a bit modest.
Russell's fantastic cross, Ulrich's header, and yes, I read where the second ball was likely to end up and put them away and all that, but the whole team creates these things,
Mixu, you are being a wee bit modest. Like, there were some very good performances on that day, like Lyndon Andrews, John O'Neill. I think it was exceptional that day. But
absolutely.
Can you just, one thing that I've always wanted to ask you about is that touch for the latter people?
Yes.
Like, is that something that you would just do regularly, like off the cuff, or
yes.
Is that something that you worked on? Because that to me is, see, if I was going to try and like sort of build a sort of a prototype of you as a football player, a touch like that is probably something that I'd maybe overlook if I was going to build a Mixu Paatelainen. I wouldn't think about that as being really part of your game typically. And I don't mean that to sound unfair, but that was just like, it was just a really inspired moment. And is that something that, is that something I guess you would pull off regularly in training? Like,
yes.
Talk me through that.
Playing the wee games in training is ideal for these kind of situations because they come all the time. 5-a-sides or 7-a-sides or whatever. And being a centre forward and I was the target man type, and I was used as a target man. Although Alec McLeish always said, don't play that long ball for Mixu. Don't play for that long ball for Mixu. Play to his feet. Because I enjoyed when the ball came to my feet to link up with players. Maybe take a touch, keep that defender behind, take an initial touch, and then lay off. Depending on the timing, somebody running off, somebody like John O'Neill, who was on his bike early, first time touch, on you go. Kenny Miller was the same. It was a pleasure to play with Kenny because he was always running and just a one touch around the corner and he was away. So I did enjoy these link up situations. And of course, you do need technique for that. I wasn't known for my technique. I wasn't known for my awareness and vision around me to be able to link up. I was more known for my hitting ability and getting in there and blah 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 and being in the box and meeting the cross or whatever. But no, I love those situations. Training 5-a-side, 7-a-side, wee games, where you were able to, a third man running, link up, boom, 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 and then take that into the match. So that was exactly what you said there. I knew exactly that Russell wanted the 1-2. He played the ball to me. It was a little bit high up, so I laid it to him in the air, was it outside my foot, boom, and he volleyed it, into the net. What a wonderful goal that was! Tremendous goal. But we had that understanding. We had that. We knew exactly what the other player was going to do, and didn't have to think that situation at all. It was amazing.
One thing that I think is quite often overlooked about the 6-2 game is see typically when Hearts have dealt out some heavy beatings to us, and look, there's probably been more than I would like to remember. Typically, it's been probably quite a weak Hibs team, or what we'd view as a Hibs team that wasn't particularly strong. But actually, you look at that Hearts back five that day. Anthony Niemi, obviously your international teammate in goals, and who went on to have he was a good keeper at that point, but he had a great career. Anthony Niemi.
Okay.
Did I pronounce that wrong?
Never heard. Okay. Although I was 10 years a roomie with him with the national team.
And then the back four of Thomas Vogel, who I think might have been a Danish international, Stephen Presley, Craig James, and Goran Petric, who I think Hearts paid quite a lot of money for him. And that wasn't necessarily like a weak Hearts team that we were playing, but we were just that good on the day. But then I guess we had a really good squad of our own. I wonder, in that team, not just specifically the 6-2 team, but that team that season, who are some of the players who maybe went under the radar as being maybe a bit underrated or underappreciated by fans in your eyes?
John O'Neill, definitely. Matty Jack at the time. Absolute unsung hero, fantastic ball winner and keeping the balance when we went forward. And fullbacks went forward, very strongly. I think Ulrik Rausen was appreciated. Nick Colgan in goals. What a great keeper. What a great, fantastic saves he made. Important saves at times. Stuart Lovell, really, really good player, clever guy, understands football, knows exactly what to do. He was important. I don't know whether he was up there, in appreciation. Who else? Boom.
Those names you've given so far probably align with a lot of I was a young man at this point, or young boy at this point, probably align with what I would have said. I think the other one was Gary Smith, obviously, who was a really key part of the defence at that point in time too.
Raja was fantastic. 1-against-1 situations, really good. Very good defender. He was always touch tight. He didn't give that striker anything. Very fast, quick. Tremendous centre half.
It's good to know that we're no wrong as fans, and we get some things right, given that we kind of identify who's underappreciated. Sorry to move on to a bit of negative after such a cheery chat, but so as I said, I was just kind of a young boy at the time when we were this season was underway, and I remember kind of vividly thinking that sort of around about New Year time that we were in with a real chance of maybe splitting the Old Firm in the league and really pushing on. Our sort of form kind of really nosedived towards the end of the second part of the season, really, or the last third of the season. What did you put that down to at the time? And I guess in reflection, would your answer to that change in terms of what you put that down to?
I don't know. It's difficult to say why. I suppose all season, all the seasons they have their good spells and bad spells. We started well. We had a good mid part of the season, and then we faded away a little bit towards the end. It's difficult to say exactly I wish I was now fly in the wall in the dressing room, and in training and all that, and see it and realize it. That would be wonderful. For me now, as a then player, it's difficult to say because nothing really changed. We were still, confident. We tried to do the same stuff. Maybe the opponent, nullified us, but I don't think that was the case either. So it was. I put it down to it was a pity that there was a dip in our form during that season. So as simple as that.
And I guess that sort of dip in form then coincided with a very difficult cup final. Looking back now, although I didn't appreciate at the time, that Martin O'Neill Celtic team is obviously a very, very strong Celtic team. Probably one of the strongest teams you've seen in Scotland in the last, this side of the millennium.
Yeah.
Did you go into that game thinking that you had a real chance of causing an upset?
Yes, we went into that game to win. Absolutely. We knew it was Celtic, and we knew Larsson's co, or the threat they had, and fantastic team, no question. But yes, we did. I remember, but one big factor obviously was Russell. We Rusky Boy wasn't involved because of his antics prior to that, but that was a shame because you need these type of players who keep the ball and let the team relax a little bit. Keep the ball, maybe play a 1-2, keep the ball again, make that final pass, and we missed that. That was a big factor, I think, for the final. Not for the dip in form, and it was the later part of the season, but for the Scottish Cup final, it was a pity. But all credit to Celtic. They were, like you said, they were excellent team, and they did what they had to do, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I actually forgot about that game. That's actually the first Hibs game that I have a vivid memory of being at, which maybe that was just setting me up for disappointment over the next 20 odd years since. But obviously, Mixu, you moved on from the club. You went to Strasbourg for a period of time, but just after a year away, you came back. What was the sort of main driver for you coming back to the club?
Well, what happened? I went to Strasbourg, and I broke my 5th metatarsal, and I was out 6-7 months. After that, we played UEFA Cup against Stade Liège in Belgium. After that, I didn't play until maybe the last couple of matches of the season, because the bone didn't want to heal. It was a huge disappointment, because I didn't have too many injuries at all. And that bone didn't want to heal. When pear-shaped, Strasbourg, we had a meeting. They say that look, I'm getting on a bit age-wise and injury and all that, and so we're not talking about a new contract. Then there was a chance for me to go to Créteil in France, stay in France. Because of that injury, the feeling was so negative. I just wanted to come back, and decided to come back to Edinburgh, and bought a house in Edinburgh. No contract with anybody. Nobody believes this story, by the way. I say that now, but it's true. It's 100% true and innocent. So what happened was, we bought this house in Newtown, and then I went for a jog, end of June, whatever, and then I went to run and jog and do hill running and stuff like that, and I have to sit. So I saw new coaching staff, Bobby Williamson and his staff there, and obviously I picked up the pace, and I ran by them, as you do, and I stopped, and I wished them all the best and good luck for the new challenge and all that. And Bobby asked me what I'm doing. I said, no contract, just finished in France, just keeping myself fit. He said that, well, the first team will start training tomorrow. That was the Hibs youth team training there. So the first team will start training tomorrow. So would you like to join us? You know, it would be better for you to train with the team instead of yourself alone. I said, fantastic, great, thank you. See you then. Boom. So I was there. And then about 3-4 days after, you know, once I joined them, Bobby said to me that, well, we could do with a centre forward like yourself, and go and talk to the chairman about the possible contract, and that was it, you know. And I was delighted. I was very delighted. Prior to that, when I was in France, Strasbourg, Frank José became the manager, as you know, of Hibs, and Frankie phoned me, and he wanted me as a first team coach. And I said that no problem, brilliant. I would love to come back to Hibs and be a first team coach, you know, for you, and can I be a player coach? He said, no, Mixu, no, I don't believe in player coach. And I said, okay, fair enough. I back it in then, and come as a coach. But then, sadly, as we know, Frankie didn't last beyond a month, and then I had negotiated all my contract and everything with Hibs, you know, become a coach. You know, stop playing in France. Then next season with Frankie, first team coach with Hibs. And so I phoned Rod Petrie. I said that no, sorry, Rod phoned me and said that well, now we have a new manager, Bobby Williamson, which I knew, and he said that he brought all his stuff with him. So there's no room for you anymore. So what do we do? I said, well, what do we do? You know, we have a contract, and then I ended up as a player, you know, and you know, everything was like boom, you know, it was great solution to the awkward situation, and that after street jogging, that is innocent. I didn't know they were there. I didn't know they were there. It was very innocent and polite for me to wish them all the best and all that. So it was nice, very nice how things panned out after that.
So obviously, when you did come back that season under Bobby Williamson, albeit his reign at the club isn't necessarily looked at with great fondness, but what it is remembered for is bringing through a lot of younger players that were given the chance after maybe players like yourself were starting to move on from the club from under time with Alex McLeish. What's your sort of initial impressions of the abilities of the players that were coming through into the team?
Oh, fantastic! You know, there was Kevin Thompson's and co. You know, tremendous, really good. You know, and you knew that they would come and be really good players in the future. And then I stayed 1 year, and then Billy Stark was the St Johnstone manager. He phoned me and had just done the A license, Scottish FA, coaching wise. And Billy Stark was one of the instructors, and he said that would you come to St Johnstone and be a player assistant manager? I thought that was fantastic, you know, because I was thinking hopefully getting the chance in coaching later on, if not then already. And then it was a great year with Starkey. What a fantastic manager and a great guy, person he is.
So that probably just you've done my job there perfectly for transitioning. So if we fast forward a couple of years, Mick, so December 2007, John Collins leaves the club. You see the Hibs vacancy there. Is that screaming to you as something that you're ready for? You've obviously had a couple of management jobs at the time. Did you approach the club? Did the club come to you?
No, I didn't. I didn't approach club. I thought I wasn't. Well, as a person, as a player, as a coach, you need to believe in yourself. and you need to be ready when the opportunity comes about. So I had a very strong self-belief. I knew I had only been Cowdenbeath just over a year, lower divisions, although we had good success there. 1 year in Finland, and we got to Europe, which was good, fantastic for the club. So those 2 management years were good. But when Hibs approached, when Hibs contacted the club, TPS in Finland, I was like that. Wow, fantastic. And the managing director asked me that, do you want to speak to them? I said, absolutely. And I spoke to them, and to the club, and more I thought about it. I was going back to Hibs, fantastic, brilliant. As a manager, what an honor, brilliant, fantastic. And you need to believe, and you need to take that opportunity. There's no question. Yes, unfortunately, beforehand there had been some problems in the dressing room and all that. The club and things were not going as well as they did. And John Collins won the League Cup, fantastic, and that. But unfortunately, things went sour in the end, which sometimes happens, one reason or the other. And then when Hibs then offered me the contract, you can't say no. Although it was very early in my management career, it was very early, as you can, part-time club of Cowdenbeath, and then TPS in Finland, one season, professional club and all that, but only 1 season. So it was very early in my career, and I remember after signing a contract and starting to work as a manager, did a lot of changing, did a lot of trying, did a lot of, and I look back so many times that I wish I was more knowledgeable at the time. I wish I wasn't a young manager. I wish I had the knowledge I had now, for example, to know that, boom, go that way and keep it and tweak it and build it from there. So it was a pity, because I loved the club. I wanted to do absolutely everything for the club, for the supporters, for everything. But it was very possibly too early in my career. Unfortunate, but like I said, you can't say no to these opportunities. Same thing happened to me when I got the chance to come to Scotland, to Dundee United, to play professional football. You need to grab that chance and see whether you can swim or not. And yes, I wasn't able to swim at Hibs, but I stayed afloat, and then I carried on forward and learned, and it was great. But I remember my season and a half, almost 2 seasons at Hibs as a manager, with fond memories, fantastic memories. That 1-0 victory at Tynecastle when Dixie scored the winner in the end, brilliant. Oh, brilliant, so sweet. It was a very disappointing the Scottish Cup defeat to Hearts when Fletch got sent off. I was like, no, and stuff like that, little things like that. But all in all, it was I was there. I was doing my best and trying my best for the club. But too much swapping and changing. Too trying things out. I wouldn't do that now. But hey, that's the way it goes. Same thing I say about when I was at Cowdenbeath, when I was TPS. Changing. I went like this. I went like this. Oh no! How on earth did I do that? That's terrible. Stuff like that. So you learn from these things. But yeah, it was too early.
It makes it. It's quite clear there that obviously the passion that you have for the club, and I think the guys would agree, probably a frustration seems to be coming across from the time that you had with us. But you did get 2 top 6 finishes, albeit 6th place in both of them. But you did come in at the end of the sort of golden generation, sort of the summer transfer John Collins had just had, and the summer transfer window that you overseen sort of saw the total expansion of the players, like Dean Shields moved on, Stephen Whittaker had moved on just before you went, but even, players like Boozy and stuff like that. with the fact that you did get 2 top 6 finishes still, did you feel you maybe deserved that other season, or did you come to the decision to move on? Like,
I don't know whether I should say this or not, but it was what happened there was I wasn't entirely happy with the squad. I wanted to have. I knew that Fletch would go in the summer because Fletch was very close to going January to Celtic, and Rod Petrie wasn't happy that I said no chance. We need Fletch's goal. We need Fletch. Fletch wasn't happy. Fletch's agent wasn't happy. My chairman wasn't happy. Nobody liked me. But I knew that I needed Fletch's goals and Fletch on the pitch. And I said to Rod that summertime we'll sell him with more money. And then we ended up selling him 3 times more to Burnley. But anyway, then I wasn't happy with the squad, the quality of the squad. Some of which were my signings, absolutely, and I was like that. Come on, doesn't work. So I wanted to change it, and there was a good batch of youngsters coming through from the youth team. There was about 6, 7, 8 good guys coming from them. So I gave 6 players a contract for the next season, and that enabled me, because they are lower wages, coming from the under 19s to the first team environment.
Yeah.
So then I wanted to have like 5, 6 top bracket players with more wages. But Hibs had as you remember, had the policy that everybody is more or less in the same bracket, and I wanted to break that. I wanted to break that in order to have more quality on the pitch. For example, Sol Bamba type of players, was dominate. Stephen Fletcher, dominate. Dixie, Riordan, who can score nowhere, and stuff like that. X factor players, and then I would have the middle bracket of players, your soldiers, if you like, middle wages. So you would have your youngsters, you would have your top players, and you would have your soldiers. I wanted to have that kind of structure, and I suggested that to the chairman and then to the board, and the board decided. Obviously, board decided they don't want to go with that, and that was like difficult after that. So couldn't carry on. So it was a pity. Again, I don't know if we were third in the league and riding comfortably, which, by the way, we had a chance to be going to the top 6, the last top 6 matches. We had a chance to do that, and but it didn't turn out. So maybe then they would have said yes, but hey, if some buts, whatever. And that's the way it went. So that was my idea, to have more quality on the pitch, because players are everything, as everybody knows. But I have no hard feelings. I have no regrets. It was a real learning curve for me. I learned a lot. Also, how to prepare for the matches, how to train every day, and which I took on board when I went to Kille, and it was totally different at Kille, and stuff like that. But that's career. That's life. You learn, from your mistakes, and when you are, and you're better afterwards.
I know you said there that you felt the time was right, but you were potentially then the 3rd manager in a row that had sort of left, all with sort of history with the club that had left on bad terms. Was that, I know you're saying now no bad feelings, but at the time, what did you have any sort of resentment or anything like that? Or
No, I didn't have bad feelings towards the club, towards the chairman, towards the board. No, not at all. I knew that's football, and it went like that, and go on, carry on. What I did the next year, I traveled all over the Europe, and looking at training sessions, talking to experienced managers, different countries, Spain, Portugal, Germany, loads in England, Sweden. I went to watch training sessions. Then I had a lunch with the manager, with the head coach, and spoke about philosophies and stuff like that. And just what I would learn, and I would find my own way, not to copy, but take a little bit from everywhere. And that was so productive. That was so great and beneficial year for me. It was unbelievable. It was fantastic. I went to watch some Allardyce training. For example, he was Blackburn manager at the time, because he was very, very high on sports science, and still is. And that fascinated me, and I wanted to know more. I used to spend a lot of time in gym, and I used to make sure that I was ready and all that. But as an example like that, sports science, very, very important. And then tactical side of things in Spain, in Portugal, and all that. And then at the same time creating contacts with those managers, which I then later years used it to bring in players on loan and stuff like that, because they knew me and all that. So again, I wasn't working 1 year, but I developed as a coach.
super.
And a slightly different question still in relation to management. But obviously you were in the dugout when Hibs beat Dundee United on penalties, the infamous Jason Cummings chip over the bar game. Obviously, we still had that connection with you, kind of like that cult hero at Hibs. And obviously, as you said, you always had an affinity for Hibs. How did it feel being like, obviously you don't want to be on the losing side of any game, but how did it feel like almost playing a part in the run to an extent? Because Dundee United were actually really good that game. I know Conrad Logan played out his skin and made save after save, but how was that, knowing how much that meant to Hibs fans, having to try and take away from us what inevitably ended up happening?
Hey, I'm a greedy, selfish bastard of a striker, right? So absolutely, I wanted to win the game. Yes, I had a fantastic relationship with Dundee United. I had brilliant relationship with the Hibs supporters and as a club. And it was like, wow, unbelievable. But I was a Dundee United manager. I wanted to win the game, that's for sure. And we were hopeless. We were hopeless the first half. The first half of the game, when Hibs missed a penalty, for example, and we were so under pressure and we were so bad, it was amazing. And then we changed one or two things half time, and then the second half was all ours. Extra time was all ours, and we had one-on-one. I think we had 3 or 4 one-on-ones with the keeper, and he saved all of them. And I said, "Come on, guys, come on!" And then he saved 2 penalties. And I'm like that. Well, it wasn't to be. But hey, I was delighted after that season that Hibs won the cup. Absolutely delighted, after all these years and suffering. And I know the suffering the club has gone through before that, before that. So I was delighted with that. But absolutely during the game, I wanted to win it. I don't want to lie. I'm a professional and blah, blah, blah. But, that's the way it goes. It's a funny old game.
Mixu, as an opposition manager lining up against that Hibs 11, obviously in the championship, but arguably probably one of our strongest 11s in a long, long time, or at least a squad as well. Did you see any comparisons between that Hibs side and the team that you first joined?
No.
No, not at all.
Hibs should have beat us 3-0, and should have been 3-0 up half time. Dundee United were that bad that day. We were hopeless first half, honestly. But I'm joking. It was a good Hibs team. There's no question. And won the cup in the end, beat the Rangers in the final. It's there. The proof is there. But no, we had our way of doing things, and like I said, after first half, we dominated. It was amazing. We got the midfield totally, and created chances from there, but couldn't score. So that was it. But
How do you think?
Hibs might have scored that penalty and won 1-0. So swings and roundabouts.
How do you think that Hibs team in 2015, 2016 would have squared up against the first division winning side that you played in?
Oh, that's difficult. I don't know. It's difficult to compare because you play against different opponents. Difficult. I must say that once Frankie was at the club, Russell and we were earlier, and then Ulrichs and them, they came. I think that squad was better than that one. But like I said, it's very difficult to, and you shouldn't compare. It's difficult to compare.
Just something else that's in the back of my mind, Mixu. Earlier, you speak so passionately about the Edinburgh derbies, and obviously you played for Dundee United and you returned to manage Dundee United as well. But you left Dundee United and signed for Aberdeen. That was, I think, the rivalry was well established at that point. How was that actually received at the time? And when you went back to Dundee United as manager, did you have some explaining to do?
No. I think everybody understood. When I joined Aberdeen after Dundee United, Dundee United supporters took me well. They applauded when I went for a warm up and stuff like that. It's no problem at all. So that wasn't a problem. Although that was then classified as a new firm derby, but and there is a rival there, but no, it wasn't bad at all. It wasn't difficult for me, put it that way. No,
Okay.
not at all.
And speaking of people that would love to give you an applause, our listeners are also huge fans of yourself, Mixu, and we reached out to them to ask if they had any questions. So we'll just rattle through a few of the stuff that our listeners have sent into us.
Great.
So Billy King of the North has 2 questions, and his first question is Hibs related. And he said, "Why did half the team bleach their hair? I hope you know that you're responsible for me looking like Slim Shady when I was at school." So why was there a trend of most of the Hibs team bleaching their hair during that era?
It was we had a pre-season tour in Germany, and after the last game, last evening, traditionally you have a night out. So the manager gave me the big, that kitty, there's take the boys out and all that. So we went out and we did everything, everything possible on the dance floor and everywhere. And then the nightclub shut. We were still doing this and all sorts, And then we took I still had a lot of money left, so we took a massive carryout from there. Went back to the hotel when one of the rooms, like a whole team, and then we were talking this and that, and then I said that the first match that season was against Jumbos, by the way, was Edinburgh Derby. So I said that we should do something drastic, something, for that Edinburgh Derby. So I said to the guys that I think we should go skinheads. We should go skinheads because I had started to lose it, and I knew that war was lost. So and I was already thinking. So I said that I think we should go skinhead. And before I finished the sentence, the first guy was already getting done. So it was then the battery went from the clippers. Swiss Army knives were used, and everything was new. Anything that cut, anything were used. And some players sneaked out from the room by the wall. They sneaked out and fast exit and stuff like that. But it was fantastic. We in the morning, then onto the airport. McLeish was first on the bus, and he started seeing these funny looking skinheads. It wasn't even. And before the bus moved anywhere, he took the mic and he said that you put some pressure on yourselves now for that derby match. And we say, come on, bring it on. And then so that was that. Then some guys, so then we were on the airplane. I was right at the back of the airplane. It was so hilarious to see these potato heads, little lumps of hair somewhere. And there's him. Oh, that must be our guy, and blah blah blah. And I just saw the skull. It looked terrible. So first thing I did when we got back to Edinburgh, to the barbershop, and all off, blah blah blah. And I think the boys did the same. And then some of them started to bleach it as well, and stuff like that. But it was hilarious. But then I used to bleach my hair quite a lot, just to play with it, just to be, blah blah blah. And then one day, you bleach your hair, and sometimes it's not white, it's not light color. My hair was orange. It was ginger, right? I got some stick. I just went to the dressing room. I said that, because Alec McLeish was ginger. I said, hey, I do everything to get a game. I even, dye my hair the same color as manager said. Yeah.
Oh, so in answer to Billy's question, you led the coup of getting people to shave their heads and bleach their hair.
It was unbelievable. It was ridiculous. But ever since, I've remained as a slaphead.
And then Billy's second question, and this is non-Hibs related, and being honest, I don't get the reference, so you can fill us in. He said, what was going through your mind when Gavin Gunning picked up the ball and left during the United Inverness game?
Oh. It was one of the moments that you're like, what happened? You look at each other. I remember Gordon Young, my assistant. We looked at it. What happened? What happened? And quick, substitution, quick, take him off. So bizarre moment. I mean, nobody could have read that moment. Nobody would have guessed that moment. It's gonna be in 20 years' time in one of those TV shows. What happens next? It's one of them. He picks the ball up and walks off. Wow. So my brain was as messed as everybody else in that stadium. I was like that. What? Take him off, quick. It's just unbelievable. What a moment.
And then Dave Graham, he was actually on our last episode. So last episode we covered transfers for who we want Hibs to be signing.
Yep.
And he brought in, I believe, a Finnish player, Liam, nod if I'm correct, Finnish player, yep. Matty Paatelainen. Are you
Yes.
aware of Matty, and should
Yes.
Hibs be signing him?
He's fast. He's an honest worker. I would, as a manager, think twice. But he would play, but I don't think he would be an X factor player. But he would play. He's
you see him as
a
more
good
as
player. He
centre-back or
plays for
defensive?
HJK Helsinki,
Yeah.
national team as well. Coming off the bench quite often. He's fast. Honest worker and all that. Interesting.
And then Dave also asked him, what's your favourite cheese?
Oh, my favorite cheese has to be. Are we talking about soft cheese or hard cheese?
It is up to you, Mixu.
I go for blue cheese.
It's odd. I feel like a bit of blue cheese. On a cracker?
Blue cheese and Geno's.
And then Archie Meldrum asked, who was your favourite manager to have played under? It doesn't just have to be Hibs, can be any manager that you ever worked under. Who was your favourite?
Very difficult to single out one. But I did like Bruce Rioch, Bolton. He was very clear. He was high in discipline. Some players didn't like him because of that. But like I told you, started this interview, that I'm a good Scandinavian innocent boy. So I got on fine with him and all that. Bruce Rioch was excellent, but also I would say the man manager. And as a manager, you have to be a good man manager. Man manager, the best of all is Alec McLeish. I know some Hibs supporters, because he went to Rangers and, stuff like that, it's, but as a man manager, clever man, good man, understands the players, knows when to do whatever with the players, and really good.
Does that, just with Alex McLeish, does that surprise you at all? Did you expect that from having played with him?
No, I didn't. It didn't surprise me at all. I knew he was clever, intelligent guy, good as a captain. Aberdeen, he was good. He wasn't there long. Then he went to Motherwell as a manager, but no, it didn't surprise me. And that was one big reason also that why I joined Hibs, because I knew him and I knew he was a great person and a guy who would build a good team.
And then the next question is actually from my dad, Mixu. So back in 2006, when I was a pesky little 8-year-old, my dad decided to take me and Bex to a team I wasn't actually that familiar with called Cowdenbeath, because they had the chance to win the league on the last day of the season. Lower league talisman Liam Buchanan, I believe, scored the opener, and you beat Elgin 2-1, I want to say.
Absolutely. It was the mighty Blue Brazil, fantastic year. And that last game of the season was amazing. It was between Berwick Rangers and us.
Oh, Berwick Rangers.
And the trophy was in between, probably in Edinburgh, and the helicopter, how the results went and all that. And thankfully it came our way. So yeah, it was some season with Cowdenbeath. I was there with the chairman. I was the only full-time member of staff. Of course, groundsmen and stuff like that, but football. And when the kit man, for example, went on holiday, I was a kit man. And he had more holidays than the Queen. He was all the time on holiday. And then after the match, I took the kit, I put it in the bath, hot water, I put some washing powder there, let it soak there overnight. Next morning, go there, put it in the washing machine, dryer, fold them into the cupboards and all that. Pump the balls before the matches and put the shirts, the players' places and all that. And it was unbelievable. It was hard work, but so fun memories. Training ground. We didn't have training ground, so we started training in this Aberdour Boys Club grass area. There was no floodlights. And when it got dark during the winter, I went to the chairman, owner, Gordon McDougall, mad Hibs supporter, by the way, and he was living with me. He hired 4 of those motorway lights that you get up, in the air, and each corner of the area where we trained. And then I had to build the goals, the bars and stanchions and posts, bolt them together and blah, 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 put the nets out there and all that. It took me about 2.5 hours to set up every training session. Well, it was a part-time club, so 2 training sessions a week. So anyway, and I remember carrying these bars, cold, winter afternoon. And I said that one day I'm gonna go to the club that I just go to the training ground and whistle and training starts and everything is there and boom, 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 and all that. So it was hard work. I remember. Then I put the lights on. The boys coming, part-time players, they'd be working all day. It was actually Liam Buchanan, we Bucks came to me and said, Gaffer, you're killing us. You're absolutely killing us. We're working all day, and we're knackered. We're so tired after the days of work. And then we come to training and we see these floodlights. We see the nets bulking and we see the balls there and markers and everything, ready for us. We get such a buzz. I said to myself, it's working, brilliant. And but it was hard work. It was great. But what a season we had. And it was the last match of the season. And the Central Park, totally full. I think it was 2,500, 3,000 people there. That must be the record. Stockcars had double that every bloody Saturday evening. So, but anyway, it was a good start to my management career because had to work hard and very, very in a humble manner.
Yeah, no, definitely, especially like having played like top flight football and all of that's not even really considered by players. And then as manager, you're then having to take that step back and proper put the graft in to make sure the players get the experience. That's amazing. And then slightly different question. Peds Keenan, one of our listeners, Ewan wants to nab in on this if possible as well. Peds asked, are you still a member at Burnt Island Golf Club? And if so, do you fancy a round?
Yes, I am. I'm playing tomorrow morning, 10:15. Yes, I'll be there.
Unfortunately, Peds, this doesn't go out till Monday, so you can get in there, my friend.
If Mixus play golf with anyone, it's me. That's.
I'm still a member there, so yeah, absolutely. Burnt Island, the 10th oldest in the world.
Nice. Tell you what we'll need to do. We'll follow up after this, and we'll take a couple cameras and we'll record me and Mixu playing golf.
Brilliant.
No, serious. And then the next question we got from Thomas. He asked, how much do you think football's changed from your playing days to the modern day? And is there any particular aspects of football you think have changed him? Yeah.
When I played?
Yeah, like now compared to when you played, what are the main differences?
The pitches are better. Used to be some mud parts. My days. I think the players are more professional, definitely. Players are more athletic. You get every player in the team now athletic. They have high level of athleticism. My days, there was some players, who ran a little bit like that and whatever, and stuff like that. That's changed. Probably use more formations these days, more flexible, changing the formations, and players know that, now we play like this, so I need to do this. But I think those are the main changes. In the end of the day, game is the same. It's 11v11 and quite often 1 against 1, and it's up there as well. So not too many changes, but just a couple of.
And then a couple final questions for you. Obviously, as we touched on, there was a lot of really strong characters during your first tenure, especially playing for Hibs. So who would you say was the person you got on best with? And is there a innocent story that you can tell us that you experienced with that said person?
I got on with quite a lot of players on the pitch, off the pitch. Off the pitch, we used to have. I told you already with Matty Jack, we used to do a lot. Also with Russell Latapi, we used to be good buddies. We were always roommates, for example, and there was there was this one Hogmanay. We played Dundee home on the 2nd of January, right? And Russell and I, we were the roomies. And McLeish said, well, before that, McLeish said to us that he doesn't trust us because we were characters. He doesn't trust us. He's going to take us to the hotel, so we prepare accordingly. So we went to. He took us to the hotel. He said that right, everybody, 11:30, this room, and then we went there. You can have a couple of beers, and then when the bells come, we have a toast, champagne, and then we go to bed. So what we did, Russell and I, we had organized that the whole team will come to our room after we were supposed to go to bed, and we had obviously prepared, some drinks for the boys and all that, and guys started to come to the room and all that, and we had champagne, we have, you name it, the booze, and then Russell and I, we were the hosts, and then we realized that we didn't have anything to mix it with, so we phoned the room service. Can we have 15 Cokes, 15 orange juices, 15 tonics, 15 lemonades, blah, 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 you name it. So, the waiters are came to our room, and, and then we did that again, and in the room, and what a team spirit we had. Fantastic. And I don't know until how long. Anyway, we all had our clothes on. We didn't have tracksuits or anything. And then I heard this unbelievable banging. Must have been about 3-4 o'clock in the morning. Our door, unbelievable banging. And I was sleeping on my gear in the bed. And then I went to open the door. Gaffer, Manager was there. He looked at me, and I had my clothes on, my not tracksuit and anything. And he said, "Where the fuck are you going?" I said, "No, my gaffer, I've been sleeping." And then he brushed me aside. He went to the room. The room was like a pub. It was. You can imagine all the empty bottles, beer bottles, you name it. Everything. It was like Beirut. So he walks in, he stands there and looks, he says, "Fuck me." And then he turns, goes to the bathroom, and we still have 2 bottles of champagne under the tab, cold tab. So he goes there and he takes them, and he turns to us and says, "And Happy New Year to you, fuckers." And went out and slams the door. So that was that. Then 2 days after, we had a game. We were like, oh no, we're gonna get done big time here. Next day we had training session. He says nothing. And then the match day comes. We waiting for the starting 11. Both Russell and I are in the starting 11. That's quite often. And we're looking at each other, Rusky Boy and I. They're looking at, what's going on here? Nothing, not a word. So then, just before we go in the tunnel, exit the dressing room, McLeish came to me and he whispers in my ear, "Big man, you owe me." I said, "I know, Gaffer. I know. And he did the same with Russell. So we went out on the pitch, 20 minutes gone. I scored 1-0. Come to daddy. And I'm running towards our dugout, and I'm on my knees. Easter Road is howling. You can't hear anything. And right in front of McLeish, I'm like that. And then I can only read his lips. Read his lips. "You lucky bastard." He never ever mentioned that to us or anything. And we won that game, I think 3-1 or 3-0 or whatever. Oh, unbelievable. And I've spoken to Alec about that afterwards. Remember that? He said, yes, I do, you bastards. He didn't know what to do, and thankfully all went well, but just to boost the team spirit, it was mental. So there's your story.
10 out of 10, glad I asked. Liam, have you got a question?
Yeah, no, that was magic, Mixu. Thank you so much for that anecdote. I don't think there's a better note to leave this on. Just wanted to say thank you so much for coming on and joining us and for making our 200th episode a very special one. You've been great value with your stories, your anecdotes, and also for anyone who's chosen to watch this on YouTube for some of your dance moves and actions as well have been absolutely top drawer. We just want to say thank you. Your place as an icon amongst Hibs fans is very much secured, but I'm sure is even emboldened by your performance in our podcast this evening. So thank you very, very much for your time.
My pleasure being a part, and honoured to be on your 200th episode. Fantastic, and pleasure talking with you guys, and come on the Hibs,
Great note to end on. Won the Hibs.
Won the carriage.